season, I told you that Liverpool was going to be beaten. And most of you are like, I'm an enemy of progress. Maybe I really have an agenda over Liverpool. I gave you my reasons, and I told you that their squad is not balanced. And indeed, they really never balanced it up, and it has resulted into them losing out onto a team known as Nottingham Forest. A team coming in through at the Anfield and beating you 3-0, not scoring even a goal. You know, that really sends a very shocking message in there for you. And guess what? In this 11, the 11 they put out cannot come out and anyone come out and say that they really missed out on any player. If anyone comes out and say they missed out on any player, then that person is a liar, because Liverpool have been beaten, and they've been beaten convincingly. Why am I saying that they've been beaten convincingly? Let me obviously first introduce to you one of my people that is obviously sponsoring this beautiful show, known as Century Gadgets. Century Gadgets are dealers in brand new phones, right? And obviously they also deal in what we call they deal in brand new phones, and they also deal in used UK phones, you understand? And these used UK phones are really put up to the task to obviously put in a very huge shift altogether to help you people really engage very well with your people. And you can call them on that number, and that's what they've gone ahead to offer for you in here. But Liverpool has been beaten, and I tell you what, no one can come out and obviously say that they've not been beaten convincingly. Now, Liverpool came up with the following starting 11, and most of you, I know some of you might not have gone ahead to follow this game to its pure detail, but I want to bring you the starting 11 of Liverpool, and you'll obviously understand that they've been beaten convincingly by this team, because this is how their starting 11 went ahead to look like. That is it. That is how their starting 11 went ahead to look. You know, they had Alisson Becker in goal, the best keeper in the league. I tell you, he was back in between the stitches in there. Then Sobasilai was played as a right back. Kokes was played as a left back. Virgil van Dijk and Konate were played in the central defense. And one will say it's because Sobasilai was played as the right back. But you remember the game where Liverpool beat Arsenal at Anfield? Sobasilai played as a right back, and they kept a clean sheet, and they found themselves really winning this beautiful game of football in there. You understand? So that's really a lame excuse. If at all anyone is obviously trying to build out onto that, to me I find it as a lame excuse, because if you faced Arsenal and you really didn't really lose that game and you won, then should you put that out as an excuse after being beaten by this side? I don't think so. It doesn't really make sense to me. Then Gravenberch in the stadium area, McAllister, box-to-box midfielder, and Curtis Jones as another number 10 into that game. Mohamed Salah, right forward, Cody Gakpo, left forward, and Alexandra Isak was being played as a center forward. Now, that shows you exactly that it was really one of those days that this team was not obviously meant to win anything, because the stats obviously show to it that Liverpool really had a lion's share of almost everything, but they went ahead to obviously lose this beautiful encounter in there. When you look at the substitutes, they brought on Federico Chiesa, Hugo Ekitike, Andrew Robertson, Rio Nguoma, you understand? So they have nowhere to hide. I tell you, they have nowhere to hide the side of Liverpool, because one will say Florian Wirtz was not there, but I tell you what has he been doing? He has played almost 13 games and he hasn't obviously gone ahead to score a goal, and the best he could do was to come up and obviously put in a shift to see to it that his side, he puts in an assist for his side. You understand? So I don't want to see anyone come in here and obviously fronting such stuff in here, because to me it doesn't really count, it doesn't really make any particular sense. And Liverpool came into this game of football when they noted that Arsenal is going to be playing what we call Arsenal is going to be playing into what we call the North London Derby, playing against Tottenham Hotspur. And If they had gone ahead to put in a very huge shift, maybe they would have gone ahead to really close down and really pile pressure onto the side of Arsenal. And Arsenal now is really eased, and they're really waiting to see what the result is going to be between the game of Newcastle and Man City that is being played right now, which is still 0-0. And if at all they draw, Arsenal will be like, all right, we can obviously go into the North London Derby with a little bit of no pressure, as you know what it means if at all Man City goes ahead to close and really win this beautiful game of football. Because Arsenal this season hasn't obviously gone ahead to really drop points in 2 consecutive games. All they've gone ahead to do is to come up and really put in a shift. They drew against Man City and they won their other games. And I think ever since they drew with Man City, they had gone ahead to win every game before they went ahead to obviously draw with a team known as Sunderland in there. So Liverpool have been beaten, and now they've gone ahead to lose, I think, 6 Premier League games. You know, they've lost 6 Premier League games, and Ancelotti is really having problems with pundits and everyone. They're like, maybe he just found himself winning that trophy and he doesn't have any worth to stay at the club. But for me, as Rokani David, I came up and really told you, about him that Liverpool, if they don't balance up in what they are signing, they'll face it rough. Now, I really understand their situation. They sold Diaz, they sold Nunez, and Jota went ahead to die. And they had to obviously come up and obviously strengthen their forward line. I really understand that. But to me, as Rokani David, I don't think that they made the right decision. They never made the right decision. That is it. Because Jose Mourinho told us that every team is built on a watertight defense. You have to be having a very good goalkeeper. When you're building a team, you have to be having a very good goalkeeper, of which in Alisson Becker, they have one. Right back Frimpong is an injury-prone player, but he's really good. Coquez, their defense is really good, but do they have players that are equally as good as the first players that really start? I tell you, no. Bradley's good, but the manager shows you that he cannot trust him when Frimpong is injured. He is playing Szoboszlai as the right back, and sacrificing Szoboszlai as your right back, you are obviously hindering yourself in the creative role of the game, as he's one of the best creators in the game. And playing him as a right back, to me, doesn't really add up. And Virgil van Dijk, does he really have a replacement? I tell you, no. And Konate doesn't. But I think for Coquez, Robertson can do the job, but Robertson is also always an injury-prone player. That is my problem with him. So, all facts are indicating that it's not going on well, for the side of Liverpool. Look at Gravenberch, the levels that he's putting up. If he gets injured, can Endo Wetaro come in front, obviously put in the Rokani shift altogether? I tell you the answer is no. So, Liverpool is in hot soup. McAllister, no replacement. Or no understudy, Curtis Jones came in through because Szoboszlai was being played as a right back. Mohamed Salah, if he gets injured, no replacement. I think for Cody Gakpo, Florian Wirtz, I think they can compete onto that left very well. And for the centre forwards, I think they're really sorted. Ekitike and a man known as Alexandra Isak. But I think their team really lacks perfect balance, as I told you when you are heading to this season. Because they had to bring in another defender because Leo went ahead obviously get injured. But I don't think that at the level of Liverpool, if you had lost what we call Quanch to Bayern Leverkusen, you'd obviously go in and bring in is it called Leon Biden, something of that sort? I think that was really a bad decision that was made by the technical department of Liverpool. Then they also came up and obviously put in another huge shift at the side of Liverpool. So another huge blunder of not really getting in a midfielder. If I'm Liverpool, why didn't they go to a team like Newcastle and they grabbed Bruno Guimaraes? Because Gravenberch can play as a CDM and a box-to-box midfielder, meaning that when you bring in Bruno Guimaraes, you strengthen your midfield more. You will be having a McAllister, you'll be having Bruno Guimaraes, you'll be having a Sobasilai, you'll be having a Gravenbach. You understand? You strengthen it a little bit. Mohamed Salah has no understudy and no competitor. And that really contributes to the rustiness of these players, I tell you. You know, Mohamed Salah is playing knowing that no one can obviously get me out of this team. So why the hell should I obviously come and really put in a very huge shift altogether? You know, that is a man known as Mohamed Salah. So I want to tell you that it's really hard to really feel for a team known as Liverpool. You understand? It's really hard because these were technical mistakes they made, and if Rokani David seated in Kampala, Uganda, can come up and obviously understand that things are obviously going to be going on as planned, then why not you? Why not you? That is the question. You know, why not you as Liverpool? And they're still losing more games. You understand? Hero, thank you for watching in through. Thank you for watching in through. City is really taking on Newcastle, and when it's done, we'll obviously come up with what we call the match preview in here onto this channel. So, I tell you, Liverpool is still losing more games. They're still losing more games. And till the January transfer window opens. And if I told I'm Liverpool, all I can do right now, rush to a side known as... If I'm Liverpool, I rush to a side known as Crystal Palace and sign Mark Guéhi. You know, I sign Mark Guéhi such that the first game that Liverpool is going to be playing in January, the lad is in. You know, lad is in to obviously increase on the competitiveness between Virgil van Dijk, Gomez, and... Virgil van Dijk, Gomez, and Konate for places. That is it. And only one is not enough. They should also get in what we call a versatile player in that central defense. A player that can at least play across all that center back. Like you see Man City. Man City has Nathan Ake. He can play as a left back. He can play as a left-sided center back. Akanji can play as a right back, can play as a left back, can play as a center back. You know, you look at a player known as John Stones. He has been played as a right back. He has played as a central defender. He has been played as a midfielder. You understand? So they need to get in players like those, you know, like you see a team like Manchester United. Look at Lenny Yoro, he can play across that back four. Mazarawi, he can play across that back four. You know, look at Lisandro Martinez, play as a left back and can also play as a left-sided center back. You understand? So they need to get in a midfielder who can play across that back line. Sorry, they need to get in a defender who can play across that back line. You understand? And they also need to strengthen their midfield. And they need to get in a player who can compete with Mohamed Salah. Salah is going to the African Cup of Nations, and if I'm Liverpool, I go ahead and bring in another player. You know, those games that he's obviously going to be away because you know that Egypt will play. Egypt has the chance to play until the final or the semis. This guy would have gone ahead to play in some good games, and those games will obviously create a lot of a lot of momentum for this player. And maybe when Salah comes in through, understand that maybe there's another player. But Salah is in his own island, and Liverpool are like, he's irreplaceable. Yet they have to obviously give him a player who can obviously come on and obviously give him a lot of things. Now, the stats were as follows. The stats were as follows. If you really watched him very well. Liverpool had 20 shots. Nottingham had 13. 3 shots on target for Liverpool, 7 shots on target for Nottingham. This is really very disappointing. You know, a team that had 13 shots at goal had more shots on target, which is 7. Liverpool had 20 at goal, 3 were on target. And I've already told you that to really win a game of football comfortably and really convert your chances, half of the total shots at goal should be on target, as you saw what Nottingham did. The half of 13 is 6, and they really had an extra one to make it 7, meaning that out of the 7, 3 crossed the line, and Liverpool never even hit half of the 20, meaning that they needed more 7 shots to really have some goals into the back of the net for a team known as Liverpool. 75% ball possession by Liverpool. Nottingham had 25%. 598 passes completed by Liverpool. Nottingham completed 170 passes. 93% passing accuracy by Liverpool. Then 84% passing accuracy by Nottingham. 11 fouls by Liverpool, 8 fouls by Nottingham. 2 yellow cards to Liverpool, and Nottingham had 0 yellow cards. 0 red cards, and we had 0 offsides to Liverpool and 2 offsides to Nottingham. 8 corners to Liverpool and 6 corners to the side of Nottingham Forest in there for you. So I tell you what, that side known as Liverpool has a lot to do if they're to come in through and obviously get back to what we call the winning ways and really compete for the trophy. They need to do a lot. That's it. And if they don't, you will tell me later that the manager will obviously be sacked, because if you cannot put in those performances that are really required from the bosses, you can get sacked. But I know he really has the immunity of really winning the Premier League last season, and I know they'll still give him chance to do the needful, because he looks like he wants to change everything. Like he changed it, and he changed the structure that Liverpool has always gone ahead to be playing on. But all I know is that it will come to pass. It will come to pass, and that honeymoon will be over, and they'll obviously have to sack him immediately. That is it. So that takes us to what we call the Premier League table, right? It takes us to what we call the Premier League table in there and how it's looking right about now. The table is really shaky because the weekend looks like it's really gonna be a weekend massacre for the big teams, as Man City right now as we speak Man City has conceded 2 goals from Newcastle, and Arsenal is comfortably seated there with no pressure. As I told you, Arsenal 11 games played, they're having 26 points. Chelsea 12 games played, they're having 23 points. Man City 12 games played, they're losing to Newcastle by 2-1, and they're having 22 points. Remember, if they win, they go 25 points, 1 point behind Arsenal, putting more pressure onto the club of Arsenal. Crystal Palace 12 games played today, they're really having 20 points. Brighton 12 games, they're having 19 points. Sunderland 12 games, they're having 19. Bournemouth 12 games, they're really having 19. Tottenham Hotspur 11 games played, they're playing Arsenal tomorrow, they're having 18 points, meaning that if at all they beat Arsenal, they go to 21 points. But beating Arsenal at Emirates, if at all you are Spurs, that is really hard. Aston Villa 11 games, they're having 18 points. Man United, before even playing their 12th game to equal Liverpool, they are ahead of Liverpool. United is 10th, and they're having 18 points. Liverpool is 11th with 18 points, meaning that if United win their game on Monday, they will obviously come in through and be triumphant and obviously go ahead of a team known as Liverpool. So that's how everything is really panning out for the side of Liverpool. And Ancelotti is non-slotting, at Liverpool, and things are not going his way. This is really calling in for more and more and more pressure in there. You understand? So, speaking to Sky Sports, Ancelotti said, in the first half hour, the players did what I was hoping for, created a lot of chances, played with a lot of energy. Then we conceded a set piece, and the game changed completely. Afterwards, we struggled a lot to find openings and chances that we found in the first half hours. I tried to make a couple of changes that didn't work out, a big disappointment, and it's always my responsibility. The players keep on trying, I can't fault them on that. So that's what Slot has gone ahead to say. Virgil van Dijk, the captain of Liverpool, has something to say about the situations in there for you. He said, there is nervousness after we concede. You sensed that we were trying to rush things to get the equalizer as soon as possible. We are just in a very difficult moment, and we have to get out of this. I would rather do it by taking in the dressing room than speaking to you guys. We have to take responsibility. Football is a team game. We have to digest this take. We have to digest this, take it on the chain, and work harder. I've said that quite a lot this season. It's not been working out, but we need to keep going. The atmosphere in my eyes is very bad. We need to look in the mirror. That's what the captain of Liverpool has come out and said about their bad performances that they've gone ahead obviously encounter. But what is at stake? You know, what is at stake? Obviously, the job of the manager is at stake. And I think the recruitment team needs to obviously be put onto the caution, because they are responsible for bringing these players, and most of us really need to eat that it won't really work out. Now, S. Kroll says, good evening, bro. Good news team for Arsenal. All right, thank you. Obviously, it's good news for Arsenal, and it shows you that the signs are Arsenal will obviously go ahead and really lift this league, you know, because teams that are supposed to close it down are also dropping points as they're dropping points in a game that Arsenal is really closing in to obviously go ahead and obviously play in the Northland Derby, in a game where anything can happen, because in the Derby, anything can happen. Though Arsenal is going to dominate those derbies for so long, something can happen in favor of a team known as Tottenham Hotspur in there. You understand? So guys, thank you very much for watching through, and let me close up this video with Hero Newcastle Chetu Kola. All right, I know it's still 2-1 in favor of Newcastle, but all in all, we wait to see where this game of football is obviously going to be ending. As I tell you, it's really intense. It's really hard. I tell you, very, very, very hard kind of game, but all in all, it will come to pass, and let's wait and see how things will obviously pan out in here onto the Rokani Media Football. The game of Man City is in 80 minutes, 10 minutes to go, meaning that when it's done, I'll come back here and obviously do a match preview. I won't come live. I'm obviously going to do what we call a recording, right? I'll do a recording, and the rest will be history in there for you. So guys, Hero, thank you for coming in through. And is it SK Krasul? Thank you for obviously coming in through, and we call it quits for now. Liverpool is in danger.